This is the Hamish and Andy Show podcast.
3, 2, 1.
Well, I've been posting selfies all day, but now I'm going to post about
childhood dilemmas.
I've been at the backpackers hostel all day, doing nothing, but I haven't had a chance to think about
Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. Childhood dilemmas.
Well, everyone's agreed to drop everything because it's 3 o'clock. And Hamish and Andy have declared today's topic is...
Mickey Mouse or Dad. The childhood dilemmas.
This is Hamish and Andy's Happy Hour.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hamish and Andy with you, back for another happy hour. Yes, highlighting childhood dilemmas today, Ham.
Mickey Mouse or what?
But yes, were you a Mickey Mouse person, were you?
Not really. My brother went to Disneyland when I was 8.
Yep.
He was in a boys' choir.
So were you.
And he toured. No, but he toured.
All right.
Like, that's when he went and I was a kid.
Yeah.
But he came back with a stuffed Mickey and a Mickey Mouse jumper.
Yeah.
Which, you got to remember, this is the 80s.
Yeah.
And so for me, at that stage, it was like he'd met One Direction, like in terms of celebrity.
Yeah.
Probably Mickey Mouse was the biggest celebrity you could think of.
Yeah, and he probably would have met him.
I think he did.
Yeah.
But that tragedy. He had a camera with one roll of film for the trip, and he had
right.
He opened up the back while he was in Phoenix or something, and it exposed the film. So there was a bit of a tragedy involved. But yeah, look, I got to say, we weren't anti-Disney. When you were growing up in the 80s, Disney was Mickey.
Yeah.
It wasn't Pixar.
No.
And it wasn't Nemo.
Yeah, Minions and Cars, etc.
Yeah, that's DreamWorks, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Who cares?
I do, mate, because I think animated films are amongst the treasures of our time.
Yeah, but it's all bulked into one thing. Basically. Anyway, hey, we are going to be in our pub tomorrow.
We are.
In Rockhampton while we gather the first fleet. So we're going to talk to a few people up there at the pub to make sure that everything's in order, particularly when it comes to our convict, who we said was only allowed to eat slobs for the entire voyage. This is when we head back to the People's Island.
We'll be there on Thursday, Ando, and yeah, tomorrow is our pub show where we're getting everything ready.
Yep.
Let's call the pub. I assume they'll make the slops for the convict we're taking.
I hope so.
You'll give them a buzz in, I don't know, 15 minutes.
What was your childhood dilemma? Is what we want to ask you right
Yours
now.
was, do I sell these box hedges at full maturity?
Yes.
Or do I sell them as saplings for $1 less? Or a penny less in those days?
Well, that was a bit of a dilemma back in the day, Ham.
It shouldn't have been. No other child was growing box hedges for cash.
But, I mean, learning a lesson, if I wait for these to grow a little bigger, I might be able to make more on them. But obviously the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figurine, or Muscle Men, as it was back. Did you ever have Muscle Men?
Of course we did.
Yeah, they might be out. If I got to move some hedges
or
to get
mini Hamishes, as my dad called them. Because he was so proud of my muscular figure as a 10-year-old.
Jason, what is your childhood? What was your childhood dilemma, mate?
Hey boys, love your work.
How are you, mate?
Good, mate. So mine was about the old Kinder Surprises. Used to love them as a kid, used to have them all the time. But the dilemma was I could never open up the little orange toy container inside. It was always a massive bugger to open up.
Yeah, it was a bugger. It was a bugger.
Why do you think they made it so hard?
You squeeze it, though, don't you? Squeeze
I
it
don't
on
know.
the
Yeah,
side.
you squeeze it. It's easy now. I've tried now. I'm pretty good at it now.
You're right, actually. What I was doing there was showing off that as a 30-year-old man, I've got more force than a child.
Yeah, they should have made that slightly easier for the kids.
Yeah.
Definitely. And the thing was, I had to get the parents to open it up, but the key was I had to get them to open it. But if they looked at it and ruined the surprise, I'd absolutely chuck a fit and have to get a whole new one with a fresh surprise.
Oh, well, you could do that. If you didn't like what you saw, you could probably try and gauge their reaction.
Am I the only one that sees a loophole there? This is the ninth one we've got in.
Jason, thank you. Conrad, what was your childhood dilemma, Conrad?
Hey boys, do you remember the in Big W or Kmart, they used to have that massive wall of lollies that you could fill up a cup with?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
that was
yeah.
before it was weight-based. They
Yes.
since went to weight, but it was cup size. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, and the weight ruined everything. But in the good old days, occasionally Mum would get us, obviously, the smallest of all the cups.
Of course.
And we'd go to fill it up. And so me and my brother would go for maybe the gummies and squash it right in there and fit as many as we could. But our dilemma came when we were trying to decide whether to put in that fist-sized gobstopper.
Yes.
And it's a quick lesson in mass and volume because it can't be squished, and so it would take up vital gummy and lolly space.
True, there's no fooling the space there. You can't smash it down. But then you go, how long will I then be able to spend consuming the contents of my cup? And it has a much larger suck per gram ratio.
Yeah. Conrad,
wouldn't you agree?
Are you allowed to place the gobstopper on top? Or I mean, if you made a gummy bed, for instance, and then just hollow it out a little bit, almost like a T.
Yep.
And
I like what you're thinking, Ando.
And then put the gobstopper on top. Would they buy that at Big W or Kmart?
Mate, we tried everything. That gummy bed was good because it gave good cushioning, and we could jam everything inside. And I think I did that once, and I got home and we tipped all our lollies out on the hygienic carpet to eat them all. And I noticed I had substantially less than my brother, and so I think I learned the hard way.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Again, it's all in time enjoying. I mean, you can keep a gobstopper in your mouth for 2 hours. You certainly can't spend 2 hours eating gummies. Those things are down in 10 minutes.
Yeah, choices.
Yeah.
It says the choice for kids a tough one. Thanks,
No, there is
Colin.
a right and a wrong, and we'll keep investigating.
Amy.
Yep.
What was your childhood dilemma?
When I was a kid, I always thought that quicksand was going to turn out to be much more of an issue than it actually was.
That's true. Because it featured so prominently in cartoons.
Yes.
Yeah, and movies and everything. And
like
I'm 22
1
and I've never come across it.
We've had this conversation before, if it is even a real thing.
Yeah.
It was like 1 in 4 plot lines in cartoons involve quicksand and the notion that if you struggled, you sunk faster.
I'd send other kids into sand pits just to test the water for me beforehand.
Spend all night filling the sand pit up with water. But that's the thing. I still don't know if it's actually a real thing or what it is. Is it wet sand? Like, what is it?
And they also say the more you struggle, the more you sink.
That's it. You sink faster.
Yeah.
But
So
then
you're meant to just lay back and relax.
But also, there's no way out of it.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I was like, well, you might as well struggle.
Get
it over with.
It's the happy hour. Ham.
I did something insane yesterday, Ando.
Okay.
And I think I'm still on like a crazy, like, maniacal high.
Oh, you're
Thelma and Louise like. So you like you steal the
Well,
car and you're
that's-
like, well, I'm in so deep now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going.
Yep.
And it's that adrenaline that's carrying me through, not that, because I feel like I've got nowhere back.
Yes.
And I've just done something so wild that, I don't know, maybe I'm self-destructive.
It's to do with the car park at the airport?
No.
Okay.
It's crazier than that,
Yeah.
really,
Just
in
so you know,
terms of...
they've,
Are they onto you?
They've put up video cameras.
Oh, damn it. Well, here's the thing. The consequences for what I've done are far greater than that.
Oh, wow.
So I'm at JB Hi-Fi yesterday getting some headphones. And JB is a very fun store to go to.
Yeah.
And I just had one of those snap moments where I went, hang on a sec. I'm a grown-up. I can buy whatever I want. I don't have to ask anyone.
Yeah.
Like when you're at the supermarket and you're like, I'm going to buy chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm just going to buy 10 blocks of chocolate. And I saw the new Call of Duty game for Xbox. And I just bought it. Which is fine. That's a fine thing to do. I know it's a very, very popular game.
The negotiation process when you get home, though, Ham.
I don't know what I'm doing. So then I was driving home and it was sitting next to me on the passenger seat and I was looking at it going, what have I done? What have I done? I have a 5-month-old baby. I have no time. No time already as it is. Just normal day-to-day things that I would never have conceived until I had a little baby living in our house.
You're wishing now for an operation of some
The time
sort.
investment.
An illness that requires...
Not good enough. Won't happen.
Well,
I'd have to
we could.
be
I mean,
in the hospital. If I'm in the house,
That's what I'm saying, in hospital.
you got baby stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's literally, I'm looking at this thing on the seat next to me going, who do I think I am? It's like I've bought a 2-week trip to Vegas without asking Zoe. Basically, that's the same amount of time that you would invest into a Call of Duty game. So I'm like, what has possessed me to think that I have this available time? And so it's absolutely insane. It's like I'm bringing a dog home.
Yeah.
And what do you think? And I've got to house train it. So we get home and I've smartened up enough to not show Zoe.
Yeah,
and I just hid it in the front room. The whole time we're eating dinner, and our life goes essentially something like bath Sunny at 6.
Yeah.
He feeds, he goes down by about 6:45, 7 o'clock. Then we'll have dinner and try to get to bed probably by about 8:30, 9 o'clock because we know we're up at 3 a.m. and then probably up till 7 and then he's awake. So our nighttime now schedule goes from about 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning. So you got 6 hours sleep and then patches from 3 till 7. And I'm asking myself the whole time I'm eating dinner and Zoe's talking, I'm not really listening to it because in my head I'm going, where do you think you're going to play Call of Duty? Knowing that you can't play it for like 5 minutes.
No.
You have to really put a big stint in.
Exactly.
Then my brain goes, maybe, because Zoe goes upstairs and she goes and has a shower. maybe in that bit where
Yeah.
she does that,
That won't be long enough.
I can play a bit. And then I'll hide it, and then I'll pretend I haven't been playing, and then each night I can just be like, I'll come up in a minute, honey. We usually go up together, but maybe I can. That's where I can squeeze a bit. So she goes up to me, and I feel like I'm having a fit. I feel like I've snuck a girl into the house, and I'm going as though I'll be up in a sec, and I'm pulling this girl out of the cupboard, going quick, go. Oh, this is crazy. It's so optimistic. I felt like it was Mrs. Doubtfire, but
Yes.
Mrs. Doubtfire seemed more plausible than what I was trying to do. It's like, oh, in a minute, honey. She's like, okay, what are you doing? Oh, I'm packing up. What am I packing up? We're not moving. Just packing up down here. She's like, okay. Do you want Call of Duty?
Do you want a day off? Do you want me to do a show with someone else?
I'd need to be able to bring my Xbox in here because she'll be at home and she'll catch me.
Glenn Robbins will be really annoyed if he walks past and just
Sorry,
says,
I'm sick. Well, of not playing Xbox.
happy hour. Happy hour, Hamish and Andy with you. Hame tomorrow, we'll be in Rockhampton. We'll be at a pub where we gather our first fleet. These as a perfect cross-section to represent the whole of the Australian community, the whole of society and around the world, you would say, Ham.
That's good.
And then we'll float back across to the People's Island to colonise it.
To colonise it, and that's the thing. Everyone listening to this show owns the island.
Yep.
I mean, we've got it for 99 years, guys. But at the moment, it's very uninhabited.
Yeah.
And we really got to put a few more boots on the ground over there. And that's what the First Fleet's all about. That's why this week is Fleet Week. We're so excited, but we also thought we probably needed, like the original First Fleet, to have amongst those 13 people a convict.
Yes. It
Now-
just felt right.
Let us say that you could apply for any position on the First Fleet. Yeah, up to you to tell us what you did, and then we selected people based on that. We did highlight at the start that convict was a position we wanted to fill, and so, I feel a bit bad because we've made these rules for the convict, like you're in chains, you have to eat slops, all the conditions that just come with the turf of being a convict. But you did volunteer for being a convict. Now, that's the key condition.
And you had to provide your own soldier to take care of you.
And your plus one had to be law enforcement.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we've got a cop or a soldier.
No, soldier.
Soldier.
Yeah, yeah.
So the convict, it had to be a low-level crime. It is a low-level crime.
Yep.
I think, was it supplying a firearm to an unlicensed person?
That sounds worse.
Sounds bad, but he essentially gave they were going hunting and let his friend who's in the army use his gun. But the guy didn't technically have a license for that. That's how we're choosing to see it. Very much a scruffle of the hair and, sorry, mate, but rules are rules. We will have to give you a fine for that. He's a low-level convict. He's coming along with us, and he understands that he has to eat slops.
Has to eat slops the whole time. You and I discussed earlier today, we're like, well, who's preparing the slops? And neither you or I had decided that we were going to.
No.
I
I can do slops, but it's accidental.
I think the pub that we're in tomorrow, we thought it'd be best if they're in charge of it. And that's why we're joined by Jay, the pub manager. Thank you very much for joining us, Jay.
Hey guys, how are we going?
Yeah,
we're
Jay,
really
good.
We're looking forward to seeing you.
First things first, are you in the kitchen, Jay, or are you just are you managing the whole affair?
The whole lot, the whole hotel.
Yeah, right.
Nice one.
Do you reckon your chef can do slops?
Oh, I could give it a red hot go.
How do you reckon you'd go about it?
Oh, there's quite a few different ways of going about it, really. It depends on the flavour you're after, I guess.
Okay, yeah, okay. Because the thing is here, actually, we did say we would like the best type of slops.
We want to look after a convict within the rules.
Premium slops.
Yeah, premium slops. Within the rules, of course, that a convict has to follow, which is they have to eat slops. So, I mean, what are we talking? Will we do a mashed potato and gravy type slops?
Highly possible, yeah.
Truffle oil?
Truffle oil slops,
You know what would be nice? You know what would be nice, Jay? What are the chances of you getting you and the chef getting together tonight, just knocking heads on this, and presenting us with 3 different types of slops for tomorrow's show? And potentially, you and I don't know what's in it, so it becomes a bit of a MasterChef type eating challenge.
Well, the difficulty is, of course, we're going to leave Rockhampton and then we're going to be at sea with no refrigeration.
Yeah.
So we probably can't have too much room temperature chicken in the slops. We'll kill our convict.
Have a think about that, Jay. But
I wouldn't mind seeing some prosciutto bits in the slops. That's a cured meat.
Jay, is there a chance that you guys could present us with 3 different types of slops?
We can do that,
And then maybe whichever one we choose, Ham,
Slop off.
we just put them in a bucket. And then is there a...
Oh, yeah, the other thing we'd need is could we get maybe 6 to 7 small sealable buckets?
Yeah, of course. Easy done.
Oh, thank you. Oh, actually, my friend Donna runs Donna's Sealable Bucket Emporium here in Rockhampton. Won't be a problem.
So you get on to Donna, and then whichever one we choose, we'll put it in a bucket, and then the convict will only eat that for the entire voyage.
Unless, of course, the convict steals the golden loaf, which frees them from their shackles.
Yes.
You don't need to worry about that. That's
a side game.
Right.
That's our admin. But yeah, we will be taking a spray-painted gold piece of loaf for the convict to steal.
Jay, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, mate, and
likewise.
Hopefully we'll taste test those 3 types of slops.
Fantastic. Sounds good, guys.
All right, cheers. Thank you, mate.
I do like the idea of Jay just hanging up going, sorry about that, guys, I had to take a slops call. Okay, now, hand paper in the toilet. It's the happy hour.
Hey, childhood dilemmas we've been concentrating on today has been today's topic.
Yeah.
And a dilemma used to come up back in the day where you'd have a crush, you'd have your primary school crush, normally a celebrity, and you'd argue with your friends over who would get to marry them, who would be more appropriate.
Yeah, marriage was very much held up as the pinnacle of the best thing you could do with a woman. Which it is, but only once you're actually in love with that person.
Yeah.
I don't know why as a kid we were like, oh God, I want to marry that girl from 90210.
So bad.
Like, because of purely off my physical attraction to her. I know nothing about her, but I want to marry her based off that.
An interesting one has come up from an emailer called Ethan Ham. He said, my childhood dilemma was arguing with a mate over who would marry Lindsay Lohan when we grow up. Now, times certainly have changed.
Times do change.
And I like the idea that one of them had to, and now they'd be both having a different argument, recommending the other person.
It'd be a bit of a who touched it last.
Yes. If we could pull into that role, Ham, I was just wondering if it was you versus me.
Well, I think you would.
One of us had to marry Lindsay Lohan.
I think you'd be the obvious candidate.
Well, I think you would be.
No, I'm a very bad husband.
I think
just us though, barely slipping through.
So we thought
passing.
Thought a debate today would be nice. If one of us had to marry Lindsay Lohan, obviously neither of us would want to, and thus you'd be presenting really fine points for the other person. Jack, you can be the adjudicator if you like. Haim, do you want to kick off why you think I'd be the perfect candidate?
I think you'd be an amazing husband for Lindsay Lohan.
Why's that?
Because I mean, for you, it's a trade up.
From what?
Just from your status.
No, I don't think it is. My status.
As a mate,
I
think
nothing.
she would really boost your appeal, boost your social standing.
I think you meant my relationship status, as in nothing.
It would trade you up from single to married. Yeah,
Yes.
That's true. But I mean, like, if she's worth a certain amount of points and you're worth a certain amount, I mean, do you think you're worth more than Lindsay Lohan?
But you get that same trade up. That would happen for anyone. I could use the same argument for you.
I'm just saying you'd enjoy it more than me. You
That's
love
not true.
You love ladies. You've probably been with more redheads than I have.
No way. Liz.
Yeah, you've got evidence of one. But I'm going off sheer numbers. So you've never been with a redhead.
I can't remember myself.
Oh, this is, Your Honour, this is BS. Behead him.
He's actually Hamish kissed a girl called Liz.
That's
back
one
when we were 19.
One is very low on the scales.
Yeah.
Surely you've been with two.
More than I can remember
I
myself
know you
doing.
kissed Rhonda Birchmore at the Logies.
And, I mean, Haim, you and her would be perfect together.
Well, all right,
you both
here's
got
my
the same
argument.
skin complexion.
I've had a redhead. I kissed a girl called Liz. I think Andy needs to add redheads to his repertoire, and I'd like to see him marry one. Otherwise, he's racist to redheads.
You wouldn't dive straight into marriage. You want to
would.
trial one
I think
first.
that's what the redhead community would like from you, Ando. As a show of good faith, it would really mean a lot to the redheads of the world if you'd just marry Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
For 5 years minimum.
No. Hey, you and her have the same skin complexion. You could both practice.
That's dangerous for a baby. I should be with. Zoe's got darker skin than me.
You're also a bad boy when you grew up.
Yeah, man, I know.
And you're reformed.
Stop trying to bring it up in court.
So you might be able to help her through this period far better than I.
No.
She
Look
would
at you,
turn me to
Ando.
the dark side.
Look at you. You're a basket case. You're a prowler. You got all these lady issues. You'd be such a full-time job for her to reform. She wouldn't have time to misbehave. You're a project.
Jack?
I'm going to have to award it to the marriage to Andy.
Yes! Congratulations. You're going to love.
I reckon you just made that up.
It's not legally binding, is it?
All I could try and go through in my head was what the arguments were, and it was just a mess of who had been with more redheads. So I'll just give it to Andy because Hamish already has a wife.
It's a good point.
That's also
it was
one
always
of-
going to be tough for
It's
me.
also one of the things I'm going to have trouble logistically arranging. So well done, Ando.
Thank you.
You've got Lohan. High five.
Low five. It's my final offer.
Still a 5.
Haim, really excited to round out today with
Ripley's Eat It or Not.
Ripley's Eat It or Not. This is when you've seen a normal food
Yep.
in an extraordinary circumstance. The ones we've had so far is a triple Oreo was amazing.
Triple Oreo was incredible. That's how it sort of all began.
Yeah.
Since then-
Also, a pizza shapes where half the bag was a small package, packet, obviously kind of a school lunchbox size
Yep.
packet, opened up.
all seasoning.
Half the bag was seasoning with just a few chips in there.
So I think.
Incidentally, I met his mum.
Oh, great.
She came to me and said,
My son sent in the
I
bag.
said,
full of
and
seasoning.
and she still talks about it. It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, great. Well, I mean, but they didn't have the bag, did he?
No, he didn't have the bag.
So that's unfortunately a lot of the stuff we're finding in the eat it or not is, even if it's a not eat it, it's been lost to the ravages of time. And since we're trying to build a museum, you know, in the words of Stan Wernitzky, the curator of the Royal London Museum, we needed the artefacts.
Exactly. So it's much. Can't just have replicas or photos of artifacts.
At the moment, it's a photographic museum. I think it's interesting how many of these, the eat it or nots, fall in the biscuit category. Quite a disproportionate number come from biscuits. I'm going to list 2 that I'm not admitting into the museum.
Sure. It's nice to tell people what is going to fail.
One was in a pretzel pack, which is certainly in the biscuit category, and it was a number of pretzels stuck together by and they were just the pack that has the diamond or the normal pretzel shape. Number of them stuck onto a long, uncurled, like a long straight piece of pretzel that hadn't been
pretzel stick.
Well, it wasn't a pretzel stick. It was a wobbly old thing. That is like it was a piece of the dough that hadn't been bent into the shape yet.
Sure.
The thing is, we know how that happened. Do you know what I mean? You can't submit things where we can tell how that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So you look at it and you go, well, that's just a bit of the dough that hasn't been bent in. Like,
And it's stuck together.
I mean, for God's sake, it's a factory that makes $1 billion a day. You can't have a look at every single one of them. We know it happened. It's just a glitch.
Exactly.
This segment isn't food glitches.
No.
It's freakish incidents of food. We have no idea
Phenomenons.
how it would
Food
happen.
phenomenon.
And the other thing, a lot of people are sending in shapes,
Yeah.
barbecue shapes, pizza shapes, whatever, where because the shapes, a lot of the time the actual geometric shape of the shape is something that tessellates, by which I mean it joins together in a perfect pattern.
Yes.
They're stuck together.
Yeah. No,
we know how that happened.
Yep.
They just didn't get unstuck. One of them didn't get unstuck.
So go ahead and eat them, guys. Because the whole
Eat
thing
them
about
all day long.
The whole thing about this segment is finding a bit of food where you go, wow, should I eat that? Or
If you
keep it?
get a pizza shape that and the head is like a dead ringer of Ryan Gosling, like the shape is a Ryan Gosling head, you go, okay. Well, I don't think they would have a setting on the machine for Gosling because otherwise they'd make more of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
I'll submit that.
Yeah, and if it had no flavouring.
Yes.
A nude Gosling in a
Or it
barbecue.
tasted like Gosling.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Amy, we feel like yours has met the grade today. It's not biscuit related. Do you want to name the category of food first?
I'd say chocolate.
Yes.
Delicious.
Yep.
That's the second most popular category.
Amy, when I stumbled across yours, I was flabbergasted. In fact, I want to do this out of order. Do you still have it?
Would you like to take a guess?
Oh, okay. It's now our game. I would say you would definitely still have this.
Okay, yeah, I do have it. I'm
Yeah, of
staring at
course.
it right now.
Wow. Of course she is, Ham. Would you like to tell everyone, Amy, what it is before I reveal the photo to Hamish?
It is what I would call a double M&M.
I would say one further, Ham. Double-decker M&M.
Stuck together.
A
hamburger.
I've shown you, Hamish, the photo now. It is the two chocolate bits on top of each other, but one bit of the tasty candy shell that goes around both of them, encases both of them, and it looks like a mini hamburger.
It does look like a mini hamburger. Now, we know that can't have happened from heat because they melt in your mouth, not in your hand. If it was Smarties, I'd be less impressed.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that happened at the factory as they were being made and they were still a bit hot or whatever and they were stuck together as they were going through the candy coating bit?
Well, the thing is, Sam, I don't know how that's happened.
And therefore it's in. Therefore it's in.
Ripley's or not.
We don't know how that happens.
Amy, well done. It's one of the best submissions we've had.
Oh, thanks.
Now,
No, thank you.
The problem with, someone having an amazing painting or something, they might want to keep it for their family, etc., rather than send it into the museum. If we do get our Museum of Ripley's Eat It or Not up, will you be happy to send that in to us, or do you want to hold on to it?
No, I think I have some better things to pass on to my future kids, so I guess you guys can have this special
Amy.
M&M.
Oh, my God.
Well,
thank
don't
you
send
so
it
much.
yet, but we do thank you. And if we get this museum up, we'll definitely do that. Thanks very much, Amy. It's all got time for
Thank you,
this
Amy.
afternoon. Thanks for being with us. HamishAndy.com for anything you may have missed. We'll be at our pub tomorrow.
That's it, Ando. We're getting ready for our first fleet voyage. Tomorrow we just check all the riggings, the rations, the supplies, feed our conflict his first slops.
Recheck it on Thursday from the pub as well, and then we
Second
set
checking.
Second checking.
Well, we're actually going to be at the pub for 2 days before we go to the island on Friday because our first fleet are trickling in.
Yes, they're going to trickle in. And if an Enigma rocks up, we've said we're not organising your flights or anything, but if you rock up, we'll reimburse you.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
God, that's going to be probably the most exciting thing, just cruising around Rockhampton looking for our Enigma.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great one.
Thanks for listening to the Hamish and Andy podcast. To contribute to the show, head to hamishandandy.com/topics.